Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Today's topic is going to be about uh, having a child in the Philippines. And I want to cover this topic because I want to shed a little insight on some things that most guys maybe have not considered, and it's just a little food for thought. And so I'm going to go over about 6 things that you may want to keep in mind before you consider doing that. And it doesn't matter whether it's intentional or accidental, the outcome of the situation is still the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into this and give you a little food for thought. The first thing you may want to consider is if you think you are the father. Now, this is one that you're going to have to give some careful thought to. And this is going to be an individual call because you know your situation better than anyone else. But the thing is, look at your situation and you have to decide if you think this child is yours. And here's why. I've seen girls tell the guy that the baby is his when it really is not, and that they want to keep the relationship going. But basically, this is just a way to get money from him and also get money from the real father if the real father chooses to stick around. So this is why I say you have to look at your situation and determine if the child is even yours. Because see, they're going to do what they can to get money out of you. Now on the flip side of that, I've seen girls tell the guy is his child and that she just want him to support his child. And the guy is the one that wants to make the relationship work, but the girl is the one telling him that she doesn't want him, she just want him to support his child. Now, that one kind of would really make me suspicious based on the concept that child support in the Philippines is not really enforced. So it would benefit her more to cooperate and go along and try to make the relationship work because at least she can get some help with her child. So those are 2 things that you need to consider whether you think you are the father. Now the second one I want to cover is if she's trying to get money from you. And once again, this is one of those things that you have to look at this girl and you're going to know her character better than anyone else. Because a lot of times they'll use the child to get money and they'll claim that it's not enough so you can send more money. But the money is really used to support her lifestyle and her family. And I've seen that on several occasions where the guy is sending like 10 or 15,000 a month, which is about roughly, because you know the exchange rate changes, but it's roughly about $200 or $300. Now, granted, she's not using all of that money for the sake of supporting the child. So basically, they'll tell you it's not enough, and then you start sending more, but all that extra money is going to support the family. So they're going to tell any guy who's going to believe their story about the child being theirs. Okay, if she's been with him, she's going to tell him, hey, this is your child, you see. And that's just to get the money to help her. Now the next one is number 3. And that's kind of tied into number 2. What will she do with the money? And basically, this is the thing of most of those girls don't know how to handle money. And so they'll go out and they'll take the money that you send them and they're going to party. They're going to go out with their friends, pretend like they're rich, okay, and they're going to waste the money. And once again, it's going to all fall back on you because she's going to tell you that what you're saying is not enough. When in fact, she's only going out to party with her friends. So how can something be enough when you're not even spending it wisely in the first place? Okay, so if she wants a new cell phone, a new shoes, buy a gift for her family, that's where the money is going to go. So keep that in mind, that what you send is not going to go toward that child. And she doesn't know how to handle that kind of money. If you're sending, and let's just create a number. If you're sending $10,000 a month, they're not used to handling $10,000 a month when they're working, and depending on their job. If they're working in a call center, yeah, they might get 20,000 pesos a month. If they're working in a grocery store, they might get 4,000 or 5,000 a month. So now you've just doubled her salary, even at 10,000 a month. So now she's thinking she's rich, and then your money is going to be gone, and she's going to look back at you and say, you don't do anything, you don't send enough, and it's going to go on from there. So the fourth one is a DNA test. Now this one can be pretty tricky. If you decide to do a DNA test, there's only two options. You can go to a private doctor, or you can go to your embassy. Now, with the first one, going to a private doctor, the results are between you and the doctor. You, the doctor, and the girl are the only three that will even know about it. So there's really nothing else to add to that. The only thing is, you'll know for sure whether the child is yours or not. Whereas the second one, if you go to your embassy, now you're taking on a different animal. And here's why. The first thing is you got to spend $125, maybe $150 to file that form. Then you have to go to the embassy for an interview. They're going to ask some questions. They're going to ask the girl some questions because all three of you have to be there, the father, the mother, and the child. If her paternity questions, if she's not answering them to their satisfaction, then they're going to request a DNA test. Now, at the interview, they're going to have you sign some forms. And one of those forms is an affidavit of support. So now your ass is locked in. If she decides to jerk your nuts, then guess what? She got you. Because what happens at that point, they're going to have you go to the Social Security office, which is right there inside the embassy, get a copy of your income, take it back up to the counsel's office, and all that goes on file. So, and I have heard of one girl flexing her muscles on that. She told the father of her child that she had to go somewhere and ask him to keep the child for a little while. So basically what it was, she broke up with the child's father. She married another American, moved to the United States. Well, that foreigner passed away. Now, she got all of his assets because he died. So she had to go back to the Philippines for something, and she asked the father of the child to keep the kid until she come back. And long story short, she basically flexed her muscles saying that if you don't, and these are her exact words, if you don't, you know the paper if you don't, you know the paper I signed. So basically letting him know, if you don't agree with me, then I got your nuts in my grip, and I'm going to jerk if you don't agree with me. So it ended up, he kept the child, she went on, and she got the child when she got back. So keep that in mind before you start putting your name on any papers. The next thing, number 5, is going to be custody. Now, from what I found out in the Philippines, the mother automatically gets custody of the child up until age of 7. At age 7, the court will consider, and I'm using the word consider, the court will consider where the child wants to live. And at that time, if the child chooses to go with the father, the court will consider that. Now, the exception to that is if the father can prove that the mother is unfit. And they do have some guidelines, and they have some criteria that you can research, and it'll show you that certain things, if the mother does these things, that she's not capable of keeping the child. So they automatically give it to the child. The father basically don't have any rights at all. Okay, you basically a ghost as far as the child is concerned. Okay, then the next thing on custody, you have to consider the birth certificate. What they do there is they will not automatically put your name on the birth certificate as the father of the child. Okay? So when the child is born, they'll take the mother's name. The mother will give the child a name, and the line where the father name goes will be blank unless he's there to actually sign the birth certificate. Now, I did see a situation where a girl tried to trick a guy into signing the birth certificate. And what she told him was, she told him that he needed to sign the birth certificate so the child can go to school. And if they try to pull a stunt like that with you, that is false. The father's name does not have to be on the birth certificate so that child can enroll in school. So don't fall for that one. So, and I'm sure they have many other reasons or excuses why they try to get the guy to sign. Don't go for that. You know, if you really want to sign the birth certificate, my suggestion is find out if the child is really yours, you know, because once you put your name on that line saying you're the father, you're stuck. Whether you are the real father or not, you're actually stuck. So don't fall for their little tricks because they will pull that one. So on number 6, and this is where it gets real tricky here, bringing the child to your country. Now, when a child is born in the Philippines, I don't know about other countries, but I know in the United States, the United States has no jurisdiction over that child. Simple. Because the child was not born here, has not set foot on U.S. soil, and is not a citizen of the U.S. So they have no jurisdiction. They cannot seek custody. They cannot enforce support. You basically don't have a child as far as the U.S. is concerned. Now, I have heard some people online say differently, but just so you know, I have talked to 2 lawyers in the Philippines and 4 lawyers in the United States, and they all say the same thing. And one question that they ask, has the child ever been to the United States? If your answer is no, they have no jurisdiction over that child. They can't do anything. So that's just it. So just consider that. Because if you ever bring the child to the States, then that gives the United States jurisdiction over that child. Okay? So you may want to consider that. Is it worth bringing that child to the States prior to age 18? Okay? Because if the U.S. gets jurisdiction, now that puts you into a whole new ballgame. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, last and not least, and this is a very iffy one. you may have to consider if you just need to walk away. And I saved this one for last simply because if the girl is trying to play games with you, okay, and when I say games, I mean like if you find out she's lying about the child or she's trying to trick you into signing stuff, you know, little tricky stuff, then you may want to consider just simply walking away. Because if you stick around and you fall into her trap, then you can be liable for a child that's not even yours. So keep this in mind because in the girl's mind, and this is what I see about them, no matter whether they have a job or not, okay, they can be living in a box. To them, having a child, having a baby is a blessing, okay? And I don't see how having a baby is a blessing if you can't even feed yourself. You know, you have a lot of people that work every day and they still have a hard time supporting their kids. So imagine how it would be if you have no job, you don't have anything, and you have to rely on finding foreigners to support your child. So with that kind of mindset, that's kind of destructive, you see. That's kind of destructive because it's going to ruin their life, and then they're going to find a foreigner to help take care of the child. Anyway, so that's it for today. I just want to share that and give you something to think about. Please consider it. If you know anyone that may benefit from this information, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you on the next topic. Take care.